The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Friday, the 7th day of February 2025. Welcome to Bermuda's Daily Talk Show. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy. I'm Jamal Hartman, and Simone Vaughn will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in the news break brought to you by People's. How's everybody feeling? We made it to the end of another traditional work week. David Michael Wilson says, fantastic Friday, TDH fam and crew. Follow your heart as it reveals your inner dreams. Good morning, says Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Good morning to you as well. Got that cough still, folks. Got that cough. It's Friday. And we're going to jump right into it. It is Friday Fun Day, brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes, and it's part of our discussion. But Suzanne Ingham says, awesome fun Friday, Jamel and Simone. Indeed, awesome fun Friday to you. And greetings, everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one today, as we are going to welcome one Bermuda Alliance candidate for Constituency 20, the Honorable Michael Fahy. The daily players are things you should know. And don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Alrighty, let's jump into today. It's Friday Fun Day, and our discussion is brought to you by our great friends at Titan Express, where you can get some of the best tours and as well as secure trucking.
The daily discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All righty, welcome. Here's today's question. Fun Day Friday, folks. This is a good one. We always, everyone's drained. Everyone's had enough of the politics and the election already. Like, people are like, it's overwhelming. But what do you enjoy most about it? It's got to be fun. It's got to be something. What do you enjoy most about election season? That's the question for Friday Fun Day today, brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes. Don't forget, you can get 2 years of free membership at mailboxes.bm/the daily hour. So what do you enjoy most about this time of season? What do you enjoy most about election season? But also, this is an interesting question. A lot has been said that elections are one on the door. That's the PLP strategy, been their strategy, get on the door and basically convince, manipulate, whatever they choose to use, older people to vote for them. So do you prefer a town hall or a home visit? Like, what do you prefer as far as people who are seeking your vote? What do you prefer? Again, question, what do you enjoy most about election season? But what do you prefer of the two, town halls or a home visit? Well, we've got Nicole Hassel says the amount of candidates running. That's what she enjoys the most about the election season. Mark Arthur C. Phillips, he prefers a home visit. I've actually canvassed quite a few times with quite a few people. And I'll tell you, man, no disrespect to those who like home visits, but it's so time consuming. I think Tiffany Painter mentioned it the other day. It's like you can spend your entire evening, you can probably be out to meet 15 people, but if that one person has a bunch of concerns and, that 15 becomes one person. So it's so much harder to really engage with people when you're going home to home visit. Nicole Hassel says town hall. She prefers a town hall. Okay, prefers a town hall. What else, audience? What do you enjoy most about election season, and how do you prefer to engage with your potential MP? Do you prefer a town hall or a home visit? Ariel Hudson over on LinkedIn says they have different purposes. Both are appropriate in different instances. Indeed, they do have different purposes, but we've had certain people who are running who say that they don't have time to get on every doorstep, so they'll have Zoom meetings or town hall meetings, right? You have some people who want to actually try to visit as many people as possible. Everyone has different strategies at this point because some people only announced 4 weeks prior to the election and admitted that they will not have the opportunity to meet with as many people as possible. So because of that, they are going to do some Zooms and town halls and things of that nature. Now, I'm not calling any names, right? But I heard a certain person had a town hall and nobody showed up. I tell you what, that's probably a sign of things to come. No one shows up. All right. Derek Hendrickson says town hall sounds more efficient. Dorian says town hall. Home visits take too much time. Now, I'm not going to name the candidate, but back in 2007, I was canvassing with a candidate. This candidate loves to talk more than me. Yeah, I know. You're like, really? But no, they did. And we would be planning to visit a number of people. And all it took was one, no disrespect to the elderly, one elderly person to say, oh, well, I'd like you to come in, make some tea. And before you know it, 6:30 becomes 8 p.m. And then we leave this constituents home. All right, we're done for tonight. So it does take up a lot of time, but this is why it's so important to canvass, not just when there's an election, but be out in your constituency, meeting with people, hearing their concerns. Are town halls effective? Yeah. But as I believe Ariana Hudson said, they have different purposes. David Michael Wilson says, meet me at home. It's more personal. I can attend a town hall and never have my questions answered. Taj Donville Otterbury says, I like seeing what initiatives the government have been saving to launch until election season. So that's what he loves about election season. Kenton Trott says, good morning, TDH family. My favorite thing about elections is that things get done. Roads are getting paved. Overgrown trees on the side of the road cut back. In saying that, we should probably have an election every year, right? That's what it takes. Derek Hendrickson says, but only having a strategy for just election season is the problem. Absolutely. Kenton Trott says, I like town hall style. Ariana Hudson says, in some instances, people will share some freely and genuinely in one-on-one sessions. She said, hot topics are fun in town halls. Yeah, I think there was. Would you consider it a town hall the other night where there were a bunch of candidates and there was a man sitting up front, like he kept interrupting them? Town halls can be very disruptive for me. But hey, to each their own. If it works, it works. Again, for me personally, I would rather feel the works of the government rather than you tell me, let's use Michael Fahy. He's the guest today. Leading up to the 2017 election, he was in overdrive sharing what the One Bermuda Alliance had done for Bermuda. And, PLP say that I'm anti-PLP. And I showed a video late last year showing, well, here's my criticism of the One Bermuda Alliance. It's no different. It's not that I'm anti-PLP. It's just that, I'm pro-accountability. And just like I said about Michael Fahy and the One Bermuda Alliance then, I say about the PLP now, you shouldn't have to tell us what you've done for us. We should feel it. So I don't really, I want access to my member of parliament when I have genuine concerns. I should feel the work that they're doing. All right, we've got Marquita Lee says town hall, but at this moment, tell me something. Seeing anyone and supposed to vote Monday or Tuesday and still undecided? I think she means she hasn't seen anyone and she's supposed to do early voting and still hasn't decided. Marquita Lee, because we want to help and we're a community show, do you mind sharing what constituency you're in so that your MP or hopeful may be tuned in and they may be able to show up? Do you have any, would you like to share your constituency with us so that they can get on your doorstep or reach out at least. Suzanne Ingham says a home visit is great because I like the one-on-one, but I do love a town hall meeting because someone may raise a question I haven't thought of. They must interact to me and give me time. Folks, this is your daily discussion brought to you by our good friends at Titan Express and Secure Trucking. Also, Friday Fun Day conversation here brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes. Go to mailboxes.bm/the daily hour for more. If you want 2 free years of membership, shipping to Bermuda, you want to take advantage of that. Hit them up. Nicole Walker says some candidates prefer not to hold town halls because they say there is typically low turnout. However, someone else may ask a question, and I don't think to ask. Yeah, I want to say something about town halls because it was something, and I'm going to use, again, he's in the building, so I'll use Michael Fahy as an example. I remember the airport, right? I remember the airport in particular. Was the airport or immigration? Well, anyway, the One Bermuda Alliance had quite a few town halls about both. And I remember when people would go, they would hackle and, we wouldn't get through the stuff. I'm not here to defend the One Bermuda Alliance. You all know how I feel about the PLP, the OBA, whatever. What I'm simply saying is we can't complain about people who are trying to engage us if we go there just to be disruptive. And that's my problem with town halls. When I was watching the other night, it was like, it was cool and all, but it was disruptive a bit for me. So I'm iffy on them. We've got Suzanne Ingham, yes, Jamal, heavy elections every year to get stuff done. We've got Graham Smith. I'm so shocked that all candidates did not include what the PLP has promised to implement to stimulate our economy. You can pay an extra annual fee at TCD to have tinted windows in your car. Folks, our national debt will definitely be obliterated from the massive influx into government coffers from tinted windows fees. Shaking my damn head. That's what I said DH means, folks. He said it, not me. Nicole Walker says, I agree with Ariana, one-on-ones, about one-on-ones. Town Hall, Marquita Lee says, but at this point, tell me something. Okay, voting Monday or Tuesday, still undecided. I haven't seen anyone. Yeah, she's in constituency 28. 28. So who is that? Is that Lister the Third and Cunningham? Who is that, folks? Who's 28? Help me out. I don't have them in front of me. Michael Daniels says, I prefer small gatherings, everyone gets to have their perspective dealt with. And then Hedley and Swan says, I prefer home visit. It's more intimate, and I'm free to speak, to ask questions and make comments. Renee Simmons says, both for me. Town hall gives a broader perspective and could give the candidates more intriguing insight. A personal visit, you can interact with your candidate to get a sense of what their intentions. All right, folks. Well, you've got it going on. You've been talkative this morning. We appreciate it. All right. I'm going to see if Simone wants to come in early to do the news break so that we can get our guest, the Honorable Michael Fahy, in okay, Marquita Lee says, yes, it's Lister the Third. So Dennis Lister the Third and whoever is running against him in constituency 28. We have one of our TDH community members, Marquita Lee, in constituency 28, who has not seen anyone. So I believe there's 3 candidates in that area. You've got until Monday or Tuesday to get to her. She's undecided. I'm giving you something. The Daily Hour is giving you something right now. Go and visit Marquita Lee. I just gave you something. Marquita's going to let us know whether they can or not. If I'm running in constituency 28 and I'm watching the Daily Hour right now and I see that someone, I'm sure one of Mr. Lister's PLP candidates or one of the OBA's colleagues, or I don't know if FDM has someone in there or the independent, somebody knows somebody running in there. You better check your constituents out and go make a visit, because I think she prefers one-on-one. All right. Oh, she has 8 votes in her house. Oh, I love this. So her home Her visit is worth 8 votes. Let me go to the OBA page because I want to be clear who the candidate in 28 is, folks. So the candidate in 28, yeah, Victoria Cunningham, and that's against Dennis Lister III. And it's a gentleman, independent. Forgive me. What's his name? Help me out, audience. They've got 8 votes up in the air. Let's say that constituency was won by 8 votes. Go check them out. Alrighty, let's bring Simone in for the Daily Hour news break. Folks, we've got Michael Fahy, the Honorable Michael Fahy, coming up after for a conversation to engage. If you have any questions or comments, please send them through. Gavin Kennedy. Yes, that's the independent. Gavin Kennedy. Rick Olson says, your format right here is the best way to have an open discussion. Ignore the disruptors, highlight the important question. Well, Rick, the PLP don't feel that way. They don't bring their candidates on the Daily Hour when in elections coming. You know, I don't know what you all have done to them. You know, maybe the audience is too rough on them. You ask too many questions. Oh, Marquita Lee said 6 votes, not 8. Sorry. Well, that's still a lot. That's a household worth. So, honestly, I'd encourage people, get out. We've got Travel and Trotty says, I live in C8. I think that's Ben Smith, if I'm not mistaken. And she says, over the past 3 elections, I have only seen one candidate, Owen Darrow, at the time. Oh, and he's running in like 15 now. So, wow. Okay. Well, C8, Mr. Ben Smith, you've got a... Man, that's why I love this show. You all want to see your candidates. And they're not coming. They're not showing up. They're not showing up for you. And I'm guessing these... I mean, in constituency 28, that's a tighter one, though. That's tighter. All right, folks, this was your daily discussion Friday, Fun Day Friday conversation brought to you by our friends at Mailboxes. Do not forget to, if you want free shipping, 2 years of free membership for shipping to Bermuda via Mailboxes, all you have to do is go to mailboxes.bm/the Daily Hour. But the daily discussion is brought to you by our friends at Titan Express and Secure.
The Daily Discussion is brought to you by Titan Express and Secure. Visit TitanEXBDA.com, your leading tour and transport provider specializing in Black History tours throughout the island. And SecureBDA.com for all your property management, waste management, residential, and commercial trucking needs. Professional, punctual, and reliable service is our commitment to you.
All right. Thanks again to Titan Express and Secure for, ensuring that we can have these fun daily discussions on a regular basis. Let's bring Simone Vaughn in for today's Daily Hour news break. And after that, we'll go to commercial break and come back with the Honorable Michael Fahy. Stick with us.
Good morning, everyone. Happy Friday Fun Day.
Happy Friday to you, madam. I must ask you again, first time voting. Do you prefer, would you prefer someone coming to your house or going to a town hall?
Well, since I have been to town halls in the past and seeing that format, I would enjoy the experience of talking to a candidate one-on-one. And just to see how they interact on that level, very personal, very, intimate, really getting the questions that I want answered, without having to fight to get that answer out, in front of a crowd or so, if that makes sense.
I don't want them in my house. Sorry, I didn't mean to say that out loud. But it's saying that, I'm going to use this comment. Kathy Ann Painter, she says, I have never seen my candidates, right? And again, you all know how I feel. I'm not one who needs someone on my doorstep, but I get it. Bermuda's a very small community. It's a very small community. And if nothing else, I understand that humans, that's a lot of people that they have to see. They're not going to get to see everyone. But the fact that you can go election cycles without seeing anyone, that's a sad indictment on the candidates chosen for certain constituencies. So hopefully you all get those one-on-ones, because like Samantha said, you got to ask them stuff that you may not want to speak about publicly in a town hall, right? So, all right, what you got for us today in the news, Samantha?
All right, so today's Daily Hour News Break is brought to you by People's Pharmacy. So without further ado, let's get into it. Women in politics has been a topic of discussion since the start of the feminist movement. As we take a look at the progress being made, we must ask ourselves, are we satisfied or is there still work to do? Here's the story.
There are a record number of candidates running for the 2025 general election. Out of the 109 candidates running, less than half are women. Currently, 8 women are MPs out of the 36 constituencies. In previous years, there have been 8 women MPs in 2012 and 8 MPs as well in 2017. For majority of the seats, it's been the same woman in the same seats or close constituencies running. Government positions are still mostly held by men. For the positions they do get, are their voices being heard? Here is what Omar Dale, chairperson of the FDM, has to say regarding the topic, whose party has 40% women candidates out of their total in the running.
Without women, we would not have a party. That level of organization, that level of drive, that level of commitment is second to none. It's unmatched. If you need it done right, a woman will do it right. And I want to go like one step further in the sense of, like I mentioned, for our candidates in particular, we have, I believe, a great set of women candidates, and they are all in places where they are valued.
Out of all the PLP candidates running, around 31% are women. Out of all the OBA candidates running, around 14% are women. Ariana Hodgson has this to say about the odds and hopes for more women representation in the House.
It would be my hope, of course, obviously, that we see more female representation in the House. I know that in Bermuda, our party system means that, party loyalty often outweighs considerations for gender. I think that what really matters today is the competence. Can we trust you? I was listening to this presentation and was talking about how hard it is to find women leaders who are both competent and likable, but how hard it is for the competent and likable woman then to climb. I think younger voters might be inclined to support females more senior members of our community, but I guess we'll have to see.
Interesting.
Has there been headway in equal representation in the last century? Yes, but maybe not so much in the last couple decades. Arguably, there is still further to go. And in such a small vicinity, Bermuda has the unique opportunity, dare I say superpower, to be the model and leader of change that other countries can look towards and follow. I look forward to continuing this research, and we'll keep on this beat of women in politics.
Yeah, I don't know. I cannot relate to being a woman and wanting to see that representation, but I definitely will say this much. I remember when Barack Obama became the president of the United States, and it was the first time that young Black children saw someone in a position like that, thinking that, hey, that could someday be me. Like they saw themselves in a position, even Kamala Harris as VP. So psychologically, I guess it does play a role. When you see more people representing you, women, as a woman, you might be like, okay, well, I'm not just here to make up numbers, or it's not just about optics, but I can actually make a difference. So I'd be very curious. You said 8 in 2017, 8 in 2012. I'd like to see how many are actually elected as MPs this time around. And again, the same women. So we want to see if there's any new women. And are they the better candidate, or is it based on gender? Yeah. Right. Thanks. Good story.
Yes. So to take a beat from politics, we have some news in the entertainment industry. Music is a big part of many cultures and people. It is a way to express and connect. The entertainment industry, however, can be a cutthroat environment for artists looking for opportunities. Established musicians and collaborators on Gaston Entertainment, including CEO Benjamin Big Bon Smith, have this to say about supporting local talent.
It's our endeavor to continue to promote our local artists, give them opportunities, but to just try to build something positive for our community, not only for our community, but to spread it worldwide, international.
Gas On Entertainment provides a space and promotes artists around Bermuda. Executive member Mr. Class and creative himself encourages artists to get involved and work hard on their craft.
It's hard, but the best way is organically, you know? It's just to do it. Like, think about it, talk about it, make plans about it, and you can let it go away or do it.
Also on the team is Grammy-nominated producer Deluxe with The Breed ENT, who shares his experience being in Bermuda scouting talent.
And even just me coming around since I've been here and talking to a few people, it's like they have the talent, but the opportunity is just not there. So for me, even back home, what I like to do is I like to showcase artists who have the talent and don't have the opportunity. And my expertise, I just bring that to the table and just push them further than that they can go.
In the spirit of supporting artists, Gas On Entertainment hosts many events, giving artists the opportunity for exposure. They have an event coming up this weekend, the Love Zone, featuring local artist Pierre and so many more. Kush Evans, who handles the logistics, talks about how worth ethics play a part in every artist's journey.
Most people we want to put on are like people who are already working on the craft, not people who just have talent or just sitting on it. You know, people don't even have to be the most talented, but if you're working on your craft, those are the type of people that we like to work with. So we understand how it is, especially in Bermuda, because every artist has to work a 9 to 5 just to survive. You know what I mean? So it's hard, but yeah, we just try to raise the standard and keep opening the doors for new artists. You know?
Make sure y'all tune in Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
At Game 1, February 8th, let's get it. For the Loves and the Lovers Rock.
So don't forget to bring your boyfriends and your girlfriends and your whoever's.
Yeah, just in case you didn't hear, Game 1 on Saturday, 8 p.m. doors open, yeah. Best talent in the island, yeah. Make sure you come out, blast.
You know, big up to those brothers, but I just joined that entire story. Audience, let me know if it was just me. I just couldn't get 800,000 in a music studio and taxpayer dollars out of my head. I just couldn't. That's what was in the front of my head the whole time. But no, big up to those brothers, seriously. Yeah.
Yes. And of course, since it's Fun Day Friday, I have to end off with a feel-good story, short and sweet. Not only is it Black History Month, it is also the month of love and February Spa Month here in Bermuda. Take a look at what all Bermuda has to offer.
This February Spa Month, spas and wellness centers all around the island are offering up to 50% off their luxury services. 16 businesses are participating, including Spa Oasis, Bermuda Laser Clinic, and Sense, a Rosewood Spa. Facials, massages, aromatherapy treatment, and body sculpting are just a few things that are being offered throughout the month.
I love that. You know,
Yeah.
I think I deserve a spa treatment.
Yeah, we've been talking about politics so much, just time to relax, get your mind right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very serene.
I'm going to make an appointment, audience. That's what I'm going to do. Yeah.
Sounds good.
Lovely.
So for today's weather, we can expect windy conditions up to 23 miles per hour wind gusts, accompanied by cloudy skies starting around 11 a.m. Today's high temperature will reach 67 degrees and the low temperature will reach 66. It will feel slightly cooler due to the wind, so be prepared for temperatures feeling around 57 to 63 degrees.
All right. Thank you so much for that. Do you know what today is?
Friday, Fun Day.
Yeah, well, that too, yes. But today's the year. Gee, my goodness, my and you. It's wave all your fingers at your neighbor's day. Yeah. So basically, just wave and say hello to your neighbor. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, see, life is not what it used to be, right? Nowadays, we don't even know who lives next door because everyone's so busy minding their own business, right? So, audience, I hope you like your neighbor. All you have to do today, if you see your neighbor, even if it's in the cubicle next to you, just simply, and for those of you who are normally introverts and don't speak and don't like your neighbors, don't be surprised if they call security because they're concerned about you. Yeah. All right. Wave to your neighbor, folks. Simone, thank you so much for that. We'll see you soon.
All righty.
All right, so move on. Folks, if you appreciated the conversation so far, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick commercial break. After this break, we've got the Honorable Michael Fahy stepping in for the conversation. If you haven't already, give us a thumbs up, whether you're on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, X, whatever platform you're on, show us some love. We'll be back in about 2 minutes, 42 seconds. Stick with us.
People's ACW, located at King Edward VII Memorial Hospital, carries over-the-counter medicines, toys, cards, and even toiletries. Our knowledgeable staff are there whether you're at emergency, visiting family, or a member of BHB staff, to show you our best even when you're feeling your worst. People's ACW, we're here for you.
When it comes to footwear, we carry functional, comfortable, orthopedic and waterproof shoes.
We have construction shoes, golf shoes, shoes for walking, shoes for boating. We even have shoes for pickleball. We have shoes for everyone.
With brands by Skechers, Atrax, Propay, Easy Street, Nursemates, Clogs, Avenger, Cherokee, Cat, Frog Talk and DeWalt. The list goes on.
See it all at our new expanded location on Bakery Lane.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
Unlock your business potential with BDC's General Microloan, offering up to $30,000 for Bermudian small and medium businesses. Whether it's for inventory, working capital, or equipment, we provide 100% guarantee on approved loans. Simple application, low interest rates, and fast processing. Apply today and make your business dream come true.
The One Bermuda Alliance is committed to securing Bermuda's future. We believe the island can return to the prosperous place it once was for everyone. The only way to do this is through fiscal responsibility and creating opportunities for residents to thrive. We envision a Bermuda where our young people are valued and will want to build their futures. We are a team of diverse Bermudians who bring a depth of expertise across industries. We have what it takes to turn Bermuda around. Vote OBA on February 18th.
Bermuda Trivia, the Black History Edition, is now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com or email contact@bermudatrivia.com to learn more.
Welcome back to The Big Show. I'm Jamel Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindo's, and People's Pharmacy. Folks, please don't forget to subscribe on all of our social media channels and on our website. Please subscribe there and follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. All right, without further ado, we've got a very special guest today. Let's give a warm TDH welcome to the Honorable Michael Fahy. Oops. I think we have a technical difficulty. Let's just see. Is he present? Hello, can you hear us? Oh, we've got a challenge, folks. We can't hear him and his camera. Okay, we can see you. No, we can't hear you. You got to unmute yourself. Oh, no, that's not what we were trying. Okay. Try this again. Can you hear us? Testing, testing. Do you have another device you can go on? Let's see if we can get another device. We don't have these technical difficulties often, folks, so just bear with us if this is your first time tuning in. All right, we can see you. We can hear you. Can you unmute yourself? You gotta hit. Okay. We cannot hear you. Are you able to use a different device, a phone or laptop, or to come on? Maybe a phone, a laptop, or what's those things called? iPad or something like that. Because we definitely cannot hear you on this device. Audience, you've got any questions while we work through this? Do you have any questions for Mr. Fahy? Nope, it's still muted, sir. It is still muted. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yep, hear you now. Perfect.
Okay, we've got the technical difficulties done. All right,
Yeah.
good morning. Thank you for having me on, Jamal.
No problem. I think the audio is catching up now. So let's well, first off, thanks for doing this. Real quickly, before we jump into the conversation, before we jump in, I've got to ask you, do you know who your neighbors are?
Do I know who my neighbors are? I do. That's you right now.
Okay, cool. We accept that. Well, it's way after your neighbors' day. I don't know who my neighbors are today, so I just want to get that out of the way. We had some people in the audience saying that, they're Armstrong. He said he lives in Greenland. His neighbor is a penguin. But anyway, look, first, let's jump right into the conversation. People are here. They want to discuss with you. You left politics in 2017 after the One Bermuda Alliance lost at the polls. What have you been up to? I've seen some op-eds here and there, but what have you been up to personally, professionally? What's been going on in Mr. Fahy's life?
Yeah, thanks, Jamal. Thanks for having me on, and it's a pleasure to be here. So what have I been doing since 2017? Well, I continue to work as an attorney, in-house counsel for a large captive management company and broking insurance institution, and was regional leader for that for that company on legal and compliance. I have remarried. I have a beautiful wife. I've got an 8-month-old daughter. I have 3 other children from a previous marriage, and they're 17 and 13-year-old twins. And I was also doing a number of op-eds, and in fact had started also a podcast more recently, but having now become a candidate, I kind of stepped back from that. So kind of just leading life like most people.
Real quickly, the audio is very choppy, right? So what I want to do, for the sake of the audience, what I'm going to do is see if you can leave the studio, then come back in because the audio was very choppy, and then that should solve the problem. Okay. All right. So Mr. Fahy is going to leave the studio, then he's going to come back in. Sorry about this, audience. It happens, not often, but it can happen. But keep your questions coming. Mr. Fahy will be back so that we can engage him directly. I'm going to take a sip of water. But basically, he's lived a normal life since the last election. He has remarried. He has a brand new daughter. He's been working as an attorney. Of course, Mr. Photogenic says he thought it was his phone. Oh boy, Mr. Fahy, don't do nothing crazy today. Photogenic's tuned in. You will be a meme. All right, let's see if we got it. Sir, how are you? Oh, we're back to the mute. Can't hear you again. Gee. Back to the muting. And all right, so having audio challenges on the device that Mr. Fahy is on. It might be better if you have another device. That might be the best solution at this point to try a different device. Headphones may work, but we definitely cannot hear you. All right, let's give him a second and he'll come back. That's you all. You don't want me asking many questions, so you're trying to mess with everything. But no, we have some questions to ask. Yeah. We're gonna have a conversation. Look at Mr. Photogenic, just waiting. It's like Photo. I hate to compare you, but you remind me of Bella. Bella's the family dog. She's just waiting for anytime I eat, she waits for me to drop something and she goes with it, runs. If you see Mr. Photogenic, folks, don't do nothing crazy. Because you slip up. Yeah. He's got you. He's got you. Trust me, he has got you. All right. Hopefully we'll be back in a second with Mr. Fahy. So hold on. Hold on. Audience, how you feeling today? It's Friday. How are you all feeling? Everyone good? Everyone good? How are you? How are you? How are you? Don't drop anything. If you see Mr. Footage, you see him. You don't drop anything. All right. We're just waiting on some technical difficulties, and we'll be back with Mr. Fahy. So do not go anywhere. We will be back with him. In the meantime, how's everyone feeling on Friday? It's definitely one day closer to the general election that everyone cares about so much. We are one day closer. You all are something else. Mark Arthur C. Phillips. Dorian says, typical for the OBA, they don't communicate very well. Oh my goodness, look at you all starting. Still in bed watching you guys on channel 82. Yes, we are on channel 82 for the first time in a few years this morning, audience. Yes, we are on channel 82 this morning. So if you're unable to tune in online, we are on channel 82. Well, I might as well give you a big announcement today as well. Let you know we will be having election night coverage. Part of our election night coverage. Let's see if Mr. Fahy is good to go now. Let's see. All right, sir, are you good? Yep, you just muted yourself. Nope, you tried the headphones? Let's see. We're going to try to make it happen, audience. We will try to make it happen. The other thing is, okay, what I'll do, this is what we're going to do. We'll allow, let me see if we can, I'll get Maya to give you a call. Let me see if we can get, hold tight, audience. You're being troopers. You are being troopers. So we can fix this and get you all. This has never happened, actually. Never happened. So we're going to see if we can get Mr. Fahy taken care of. But in the meantime, well, Mr. Photogenic started. He said pathways to better audio. Oh, boy. This guy. Channel 82 is a good look. So I'll share, since we have you all here, I'll just share an announcement with you. So we will be doing election night coverage, and it will be aired on Channel 82 as well as all of our social media platforms. But we will be joined by some very special guests for election night coverage. I want to see if you, the audience, while we're trying to help and fix Mr. Fahy up, who do you think will be joining us for election night coverage? Who do you think will be joining us for election night coverage? We've got two former leaders, right? Two former political leaders, and we have a former premier. Who do you think will be joining us for election night coverage? Well, this one's obvious. He was on the show the other day. Mark Arthur C. Phillips says Mr. Barrett. Who else? Who else? Who else do you think will be joining us? Mr. Barrett says Shikarina. No, Mr. Donkley actually declined. Outside of John Barrett, Mr. Barrett, who said he'll come on, who else do you think is joining us for election night coverage? Someone got it. Dr. The Honorable Ewart Brown will be joining us on election night. And there's one more person. We've got, yes, Dr. Brown, you all are getting it. You got it. So we've got John Barrett, the Honorable John Barrett, and the Honorable Dr. Ewart Brown. And one more person, a former, who's Mr. Cannon? Who's Mr. Cannon? I don't know who that is. Who's Mr. Cannon? All right, I'll tell you. So on election night, joining us in studio, we will have Dr. the Honorable Ewart Brown, John Barrett, and Patricia Gordon-Pamplin. They will be joining us as the results come in, and you'll get to engage them. Nope, Sir John is a candidate, so he will not be joining us. So should be some good commentary. Are you looking forward to engaging them on? She said Nick Cannon. Nah, he's got too many children to take care of on election night, folks. He can't make it. He's on daddy duty on election night. He can't make it. Yeah. Are you going to be tuned in on election night with Dr. Ewart Brown, John Barrett and Patricia Gordon Pamplin, are you looking forward to it? We're looking forward to having it. We're just glad that each of those individuals are making time to engage the audience. All three of them have been through multiple election cycles, and honestly, couldn't be happier that they've decided to add value to our conversation throughout the evening. So February 18th, we will be on channel 82. February 18th, we will be on Facebook. On February 18th, we will be on LinkedIn, YouTube, X, and Instagram for at least the first hour. So just want to give props to all those who are supporting our efforts to bring you election night coverage once again. You know, I don't know if you all realize this, but in 2020, we had the most streamed election night coverage in Bermuda. Yeah, the most streamed, and really looking forward to delivering better quality this year. Mark Arthur C. Phillips asked, how long will the coverage be? The coverage is going to be as long as the night gives us, honestly. As long as last time we were on like until 2, if I'm not mistaken. So if it takes the results don't come in until that time, then that's what we're going to be doing, So I think we have Mr. Fahy now in the house. Let's see if we can bring him in. But how are you feeling? Are you happy about our lineup for election night, folks? Are you happy? Are you going to be streaming with us? Let us know. Let us know. All right, let's see. Let's see if we can bring Mr. Fahy in and see how we're looking. Greetings, sir. How are you? Can you hear us?
Okay, let's try that.
All right, here we go. Good stuff. Good stuff. I'm just going to ask you to repeat because it was choppy earlier.
Yeah.
The audience know what you've been up to since the last election in 2017.
Sure. So after the last election, I'd never left my employment when I was a minister, and continued then full-time as regional counsel for a large captive management and broking company. And then I also got remarried. I also have an 8-month-old daughter with my beautiful wife. I have 3 other children, 17 and 13-year-old twins. And I had also recently started a podcast, which I've taken a step back from, obviously, because of the election, and have been doing different projects here and there. So, like everyone else, leading life. And as you said, I've been doing op-eds and things as well.
Indeed. When I think of you, and I said this last week, I can't talk behind people's backs because it's all recorded, so I can see what I say. But it's interesting because my issue, personally, and this may be different from the audience and Bermudians, I take the pathways and the airport, which the airport was not under you, but you were part of the party. Take that stuff away, and I still had like things that I had challenges with when it came to yourself. And one of the issues I have with most politicians is prior to being elected, they're friendly, they're engaging. You in particular had done my talk show when I was at Hot 107.5 when you first became to BDA, and then when I was up Bermuda Broadcasting in 2011. And I've seen this, it's not on you, but I've seen this. I've been in rooms where people have been elected to run, and they say, oh, this, that, and the other. They're fighting. And maybe it's because your workload. You just said you never left your full-time employment. You don't have time to engage as much with people. My issue was more so the attitude of the person. And for that, I ask you, were there lessons in how you believe you came across? And I'm not going to talk about those issues because I'm sure the audience will have them, but how you came across to people. And I'll use a perfect example because we don't do bias here. Colonel Birch. Probably the most unfriendly person in politics we've ever seen. Some people think he's miserable. He doesn't talk to people. He's angry. I actually said in private conversation, I liken you to him. The only difference is Black Bermudians are willing to put up with Colonel Birch, who took about 4 or 5 election cycles to actually get elected, right? Whereas they deemed you, well, who is this? And this is not my words. Who's this white Canadian guy to talk to us and say this and that? So I didn't see much difference other than people not willing to accept it because they were told you were, well, first of all, dispel that. Are you per se. Like, you want to dispel that? Like, you are Bermudian, correct?
Well, you have to be Bermudian, Jamal, to kind of be
Right.
in the house. I mean, you got to be in a somewhere who's voting. Yes, I mean, I came to Bermuda, Jamal, when I was 3.5 years old. So yes, I was born in Canada, but many of us that are now Bermudian or are Bermudian were born in many different places. So it's kind of just a way to it's almost a smear to try and disassociate you from from being Bermudian.
Mhm.
And yeah, it's sad when people do that to try and try and disassociate you from what you are and what you believe in. But I mean, I'm happy to address all these things, Jamal. I think in the first instance, lessons learned, communication, including getting your computer right the first time, and figuring that out. But uh, you know, we were in a very tough spot when we were in government, and had, as you've said, it was a very heavy workload. I had a young family. I had a full-time job. I was also a minister and putting in just an inordinate amount of hours. I think that the media has a part to play as well in terms of how people are perceived. I still get it. Oh, Mr. Fahy, I don't realize how tall you are. I'm 6'2". I guess people thought I was 5'5" or something. I don't know, but I still get it to this day. Mr. Fahy, I thought you were much shorter. I mean, it's weird. Or, hey, it's nice to see you smile. Well, of course, what do people see in the newspaper is a picture that the Royal Gazette maybe captures in the middle of a speech, and then the file editors just use that photograph all the time. So that paints a picture of this miserable man who's kind of around, and I know that's not true. I think my friends and those that know me know and interact with me knows that's not true. I think. I got a bit of a bum rap on that, to be fair. But people can judge that for themselves in conversations with me. The media doesn't always give that best perception of people. It doesn't make good news, I suppose. But in terms of comparisons to other people, that's for other people to make those decisions. It's not for me. What I was as a minister was a very hardworking minister, and I'm proud of that. In terms of how we could have communicated things better, everybody can learn lessons on that, Jamal, anytime in terms of how you get your story out. But again, when you look at what we were up against in terms of a wrecked economy, things were in awful state. There was really no money in the kitty when we came in, and we had to do everything we could to kind of get our face to the grindstone and get on with things and try and bring direct inward investment to Bermuda and do our best for the people of Bermuda, for all Bermudians. And the narrative gets spun, as you said, oh, this Canadian guy that, is telling us what to do. Okay, this PLP members that were born in other places that no one seems to make a meal of that. And that's unfortunate. You can extrapolate what that may or may not be about. But take people as their face. If they're saying to you, this is what we're trying to achieve, there's no conspiracy here. I see all these things online. We can look at how things could have gone better. But I don't think that's where we are right now. I think, again, the economy is not doing well. There's a lot of complaints in the community about the state of our country, and we're looking for solutions, and people want solutions. I hear that on the doorstep, and so do other candidates. What are the solutions for Bermuda's problems today? I can't hear you, Jamal.
Sorry. Thank you
Yeah.
for saying that. I'm not going to sit here and act like the media doesn't play a role in this. I mean, Malcolm X told us about this many years ago. And that's why I appreciate this show, because you have an opportunity to come and communicate directly and engage with an audience who, they have questions, they want answers. But something, I want to shift a bit.
Okay.
Because, and these are just a few things I've written that, have been said from the PLP. It was status to PRCs. Giving children of expats the opportunity to compete with Bermudian students for summer employment, making it where people are allowed to hire foreign acts without having a local. These are just a few of the things that are being pushed or have been pushed. Can you explain the thinking behind this? And because you said communication was one of the biggest problems. Can you communicate right now to Bermudians who were against all of these things why they should understand this was best for Bermuda?
Okay, so let's address this one point up front about, and it's a narrative that's gone on and on and on, that what we were trying to do was have Bermudians compete with foreign children. A lot of what we had put forward had been proposed by a number of different working groups from on the alphabet group side, so international business, etc. We shared those matters with other alphabet groups, including the TUC, which is Trade Union Congress, to try and get input. We threw in all the ideas that had come out, one of which was allowing individuals were here with their children to do summer employment and things. And the reason for that, the thought process behind that was, it wasn't it wasn't designed to kind of make Bermudians be pushed down. What we were trying to do was get people to stay. And what the demographics showed in the population information that we had was, when you have individuals who are living in Bermuda that have been here for 10, 15, 20 years. They may have come here single, they meet somebody, they get married, it may be to another work permit holder, then they have children, and then they have to start making decisions. Do they stay or do they go? And one of the things that was the biggest thing for them to leave was, when their children are hitting 16, what are these kids supposed to do? So it was, how can we encourage these people to stay? Because we can't afford to have any more people leave. The economy couldn't afford that. Did we think of all the blowback? No. So what we did is we withdrew it, and we said, okay, people aren't satisfied with that. We haven't got the message across, but it's used as this kind of this beating stick all the time. This is but what we were trying to do is get people to stay. And by staying, that helped Bermuda's growth and helped Bermuda's economy, because every time people leave, that's less purchasing power. It's less people buying groceries. It's less people paying in for health. It's less people paying into any number of government services by way of taxation and payroll tax. The knock-on effect of people leaving, whether they're Bermudian or guest workers, is a disaster for the local economy. We were trying to find ways at the time to bring direct inward investment and try and find ways to make people stay, so that Bermuda's economy would continue to would grow. So everything that we did, we had that in mind. We explored a number of things. Commercial immigration was one, which we rejected. Commercial immigration, by the way, is very similar now to what the PLP is doing in terms of economic investment certificates and things like that, okay? Where you can come in, you can buy a house, you can get residency, and after a period of time, you can apply for basically a residential certificate. Those types of initiatives, in fact, we rejected because we thought that's not actually adding cultural value to the community. What we then thought was, what we need to do is, we're still seeing so many people leaving. They're feeling like they have no future. We were competing with jurisdictions like Cayman, where you can go down to Cayman and people can get status within 11 years. So you're losing, again, these individuals who leave so they can secure a future for their family. And again, every time someone leaves, then that's a loss to our economic value. When people had been here, our proposal had been at the time 20 years for status, if you'd been here 20 years or more, and 15 years PRC. Again, we felt that that was appropriate because these individuals are not new immigrants that have just arrived and they get something after a year. They would have been here for 20 plus years, invested in the economy, have their kids here, eating out in the restaurants, traveling back and forth, adding value, hiring Bermudians, being part of Bermuda's fabric, culture, and our entire being. They're nurses, they're doctors, they're underwriters, they're restaurant workers, they're throughout our entire society. And many of us as Bermudians marry
But you understand the concerns, and I think we can all agree, right, that Bermuda needs more people. But you understand the concerns is that, well, you can't just do this in every country, right? That's number one.
Well, Jamal, I tell you, if I may, I'm going to interrupt because
you just finish this
the only
point. But
the only place.
Let me finish this point.
Okay, yeah.
Country. But when you use Cayman as an example, you realize you give firepower to those who oppose you, because basically they feel like, and I hate to use this term, in Cayman, there's been an ethnic cleansing of, Caymanians, right? So I think that's where you mentioned communication, and I'm no expert at PR, But that's where you kind of lose people when you use Cayman, an island where the big argument against what you're saying is that, well, what about Bermudians? In Cayman, there's more, non-Bermudians than Caymanians. So how can you communicate that better to get people to say, well, no, it's not going to look like the Cayman in 5 or 15 years? I get what you're saying, that it was not bringing new people here. It was just making sure those who are already here, right?
But that's the key. That's the key, Jamal. In Cayman, and again, look, if I use the United States as an example, you can't make a fair comparison because it's not even remotely the same. It's difficult to use other jurisdictions. I'm not saying we want it to be Cayman. All I'm saying to you is that people were leaving after being here 20 years in Cayman. You get it after like 7 or 11, which is, we never proposed anything like that. The government has moved forward and said, okay, after 20 years, you get PRC. That's great. At least it's something to get people to remain because it continues to grow the economy. But again, that's 10 years ago now, Jamal. It's like 9.5 years ago that those proposals were made. And I don't necessarily accept the argument that it's changing our culture because these people were already here. Look, I would accept all of the arguments that it's going to change our culture if we said after 3, 4, 5 years, hey, come on in, we'll give you whatever you want. That was never that. And in fact, when people say, well, you were trying to, one of the things is I was trying to dilute the PLP base. Let me tell you something. And this is, you can go and look at the statistics. When the PLP first introduced PRC, way back, they had a groundswell of support because people said this party actually really understands my plight. The same with those that got status back then, 20, 30 years ago. I can't presuppose who votes for who. Never the intent. All we want to do is get people to stay. But again, we can go all afternoon or all day about it. What I'd like to do is kind of move, if I can, is move away from that and say, what are we going to try and achieve? Look, I get it, Jamal. I've said it so many times that the way in which we tried to get a message across was drowned out. I think you'd mentioned it earlier and when you kind of started the show today. They say there was no public consultation. We went out to town halls. We tried to communicate. I actually sat down with the leaders of the People's Campaign. I sat down with Walton Brown himself. I sat down with so many people and went through. And by the way, it was obviously a great political strategy to demonize and things, but it's to the detriment. Ultimately, I still feel it was a detriment to our overall economic success for Bermudians. But people can differ, and that's what we're entitled to do. We're entitled to differ. But we've moved away from that now. I'm not coming in here and have never once mentioned pathways. Everyone else likes to talk about it.
And I want to move on because we got so much other stuff to discuss. But I do think one last point is, I remember I was traveling for work and I got a call from someone in Bermuda. And this was after Michael Donkley had already asked me and talked to me about it, about things like status and so on. And it was asked by a union president and asked me my thoughts on it. And I'm gonna be honest with you, all I knew was what was being shared. It wasn't something. And then as I started to ask some older Bermudians, and one of the big concerns that was consistent with people who didn't know each other was, I just feel like it's all about the vote. And I know you just mentioned, you spoke on that just now, but there are people who feel like, based on history, immigration has always been used to dilute the vote. What you're saying, and we can move on from this, is that was never the intent. That was never even discussed.
Never the intent. And in fact, I saw something yesterday. Someone said, oh, please, ask Mr. Fahy about his comments that once we get them in, the PLP will never win. That's wholly rejected. And it's ridiculous for anyone to presuppose. So does anyone think that I knew, how could I ever have known or had the time to look at the identity of anyone who may have fallen within what we were proposing and then also presuppose their vote? That's a ridiculous way to kind of put things forward, in my view. I understand the history. I also understand that immigration laws were used to keep down Bermudians, particularly Black Bermudians. I said that at the time. That was nothing to do with anything like that. In fact, you may remember that it was in the 70s where people that had just been resident in Bermuda could get a vote. Wholly wrong, wholly ridiculous. Nothing like that. Look, what we're trying to do is create opportunity for Bermudians. We were trying to do it then. We came up with ideas that we thought could work. Some worked, some did not. And I think that we have a lot of things that we can be very proud of from that record. What we're looking at now is saying, again, what can we do to bring about real and meaningful opportunity for all Bermudians going forward? And that's what you get involved for. It's very easy to sit on the sidelines and complain, or you can get stuck in. And I think that's representative of why we have 109 candidates running in this election. I think people
And
are dissatisfied, right?
speaking on that, I mean, with all the controversies and perspectives that have been developed about you, right? By various people, and maybe the media again plays a role in that. Why have you decided? I mean, you just said you've got a full-time job, you've got a beautiful family, young baby. Why have you decided to return to the political arena?
No, great question, Jamal. I think it was something that I felt that I couldn't just sit on the sidelines. That's I know what I can do. I know what I'm capable of doing, and making a real contribution to Bermuda's success. We did a lot of things that were great. We did bring new hotel development. One didn't go the way we wanted it to, but the Lauren did, St. Regis did, the Azure did. We did very well on that. We brought the triathlon series to Bermuda. We brought in mini car legislation that, by the way, has increased. We brought, cruise ships to St. George's. We had an NCL dedicated ferry. We brought UNESCO World Heritage Fund to St. George's. We did some amazing things. Those are the things that I would hope that people would talk about. All of those things were amazing decisions that continue to this day to benefit Bermuda's economic opportunity. In terms of getting involved, I believe that to be fair, with the skills that I did get over that period of time as a minister, I feel I can add some value, and that's for the voters of constituency 20 to make up their minds. I'm excited about it, Jamal. I also felt if I didn't, I'd probably regret not trying, because I really believe in it. And look, so do 108 other candidates. They believe that they can make a difference. I don't think I'm alone in that in any way, shape, or form. When you talk to candidates from across the divide, it's sad I even use that language of the divide. When you actually talk to candidates from PLP, FDM, independents, you got to believe that what they're telling you is, I'm doing this because I care about my community.
Right.
Some candidates care about particular very local issues within their constituencies. Some have a particular area that they have an interest in. Others have an overall interest. But everyone, I believe, is doing it because they want to contribute. That's just a fact. So that's why I wanted to. We had the long conversations at home about it. It's sad that the PLPs had to pivot. Clearly, they were ready for an election, and they've had to pivot their campaign to go negative, specifically on me. I don't think people want to hear about that. I think people really genuinely want to hear, what is it we're going to try and do for Bermuda and Bermudians? What is it that we're going to do going forward to help seniors? All of these things: healthcare reform, education reform, road works, public infrastructure works. All of these things matter to people now. The OBA has not been going on banding on about pathways. That is, we've done it today. We did it at my press conference. The PLP wants us to think about that, I believe, to move away from what I believe is a pretty dismal record.
So, and there are many people who agree with what you just said. So with that said, where do you believe that you went wrong as a government minister? What are you planning to do differently going forward if successful in this election? What are you going to say, you know what? Again, communication comes up a lot. I mean, you said, I likened you. My comparison was Colonel Birch, right? You came across
That's unfair, Jamal. I mean, we can't keep repeating that narrative.
I'm just saying, you my opinion, you came across right? And I'm not saying that you're both bad people. I'm simply saying that you come across, and I'll be very clear on what I mean by that. They come across just very focused on the work, and that's a compliment. It's not a bad thing. It's you're just focused on the work, no small talk. That's just how you came across, right? But in saying that, he never changed his approach when he finally got elected, right? Would you change your approach? What would you do differently going forward? Because as you just said, there's a lot of things: healthcare reform, education. Like, there's a lot to do. How are you going to change to make things happen?
Yeah, no, that's fair, Jamal. I mean, I think, if you look back and you think of all of the items that essentially I was asked to do on behalf of the OBA, I was put into portfolios that are controversial: planning, municipalities, immigration, labor. Those are all very heavy portfolios. And when you're trying to get the economy going and economic growth, it's an awful lot of work. And I think you think, yeah, okay, let's get on with it. We really need to do this for the benefit of Bermuda. And time, certainly in my view, was of the essence. If I could go back in time, of course I would say, geez, look, please don't give this to me to deal with. Please don't. It's enough now to be able to do all of the things that I'm being asked to do. We had an amazing team, and this is the thing. I think, yes, so I was the front person for it, but to get a lot of the things done that we were very successful with, we had amazing public servants who did the work. So when you look at things like immigration, and we all pick on pathways, but we were the ones that implemented a civil penalty regime to catch out employers that were playing the immigration system. We brought in these wanted posters. We brought in a number of different things that we could say, okay, on the one hand, you're going to get this, but on the other hand, if you muck around, you're going to be punished, and it's not going to be fun for you. We had a very good immigration board that, by the way, was appointed from individuals from across the community that help make decisions on these things. So yes, I would go back and say that, but I would also go back and say, I understand people don't know me. I get that. A lot of people will say that was that guy. Talk to me, engage with me, and as we are today. And we're going to agree sometimes to disagree, but all in all, you're going to get someone who's going to tell you what they think. I think, Jamal, and I'll tell you a little story. I've often, I've walked past the taxi ranks and the minibus ranks, and I speak to a lot of these guys over the years, right, that I worked with and had interactions with when I was Minister for Transport, Tourism, and Municipalities. And, one of them took me aside and said, Michael, I'd love it if you got back involved because you were the only minister that actually gave us a straight answer. I might not have liked your answer, but at least I knew what the answer was so I could move on and think about other things. It's not fair to just drag people along or play them and say, yeah, I'll do it, or yeah, I'll get to you, or let's set a meeting up and you never meet with them. At least with what I felt you were getting with me was, I'm going to tell you the straight answer. It's either going to be yes or it's going to be no. Or listen, I think we can do something here. Let's tweak it, but let's actually let's work together to do it. And we did that successfully on any number of occasions, including mini car legislation when we amended some taxi red legislation. So taxi drivers felt that they weren't going to lose their livelihood, make the roads safer for guests, and also get the taxi drivers the ability to do different things that they've been asking for many, 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 many years. That was the reputation I had. Yes, a hardworking minister. Did I come across as maybe, I don't know, unfriendly or aloof? I'm sad about that. I genuinely am sad about that. And I think that, again, you have interactions with people, you learn about them as you talk to them, right? One-on-one.
Yeah. Audience, I'll get to your questions and comments in a second. I haven't forgotten about you. On your candidacy, right? There have been many people who say the One Bermuda Alliance as a political party has made this so easy for the PLP, own goal after own goal. Some even viewed your announcement as an OBA candidate as an own goal. What are your thoughts on, first, party politics? Because as some have said, the whole independent movement seems like, indictment on party politics. But how do you feel about the state of people thinking the OBA has made it easy, scoring own goals? And finally, your appointment, do you think it will negatively impact the chances for the One Bermuda Alliance overall?
No, I don't. I don't, Jamal, and I don't think that the party believes that either. Otherwise, frankly, I wouldn't have been selected. I think, yes, as anybody would have concern and say, is this going to be problematic? And I chatted with the candidates and I laid, I think, some concerns, and it's not an issue,
quite frankly, that they're hearing on the doorstep. People are saying, and I heard someone tell me the other day, I'm not interested in smear campaigns. I'm interested in hearing what people are going to do to make Bermuda a better place. Everyone is entitled to have another opportunity to give a go of it. So that's the first thing. It's just an easy smear to say, oh, this is what happened. Mostly, look, 99% of what's being said, by the way, is just factually desperately inaccurate. I heard one the other day that I was ordering people to be pepper sprayed. I mean, I can't even get some of that through my head, to be honest with you. And the interesting thing is, I mean, if you want facts, for the airport protest on the 2nd of December 2016, I was actually off island on government business in the portfolio of tourism, transport, municipalities. I wasn't even on the island. And so things get twisted. People say things. The OBA did a poor, I think, communication strategy overall, not defeating some of the stuff that has kind of gotten into folklore and gotten into the historical record. In terms of, is it a known goal? No. I think what people are looking for is those that really care about Bermuda. And I think anyone that knows me will know that that's as accurate as it can be. There are a number of different things, as we said, that need to be dealt with, and we have a team that is able to do it. And it's been canvassing very hard over the last four years or so since the last election to get our message across on the doorstep. And as you said, I mean, interestingly, Jamal, you led today with, is doorstep politics the way forward? Of course, you want town halls, and you're right, they're very difficult. And the reason I think they're difficult is because a lot of people don't like to be heard in public. They don't want their neighbor to know what they really think, because we're a small community. You don't want to irritate people and say something, and the next day you see them in the grocery store and you think, oh my God, this isn't good. Nobody wants that. So I think people really will open up on the doorstep, and they're opening up to you, and it's a very intimate thing. They're telling you things that they might not even tell some of their family members, and they're trusting you with that and saying, look, I've only just met you. I met like someone this the other night I've never met before, who literally says, so glad that you're the candidate here. Told me a thing, kind of almost whispered and said, look, these are things I have concerns about. And you take that information, okay, well, that's not to be shared with anyone else. That's an intimate discussion you have with somebody based on trust and faith. And that's important. And I think that's important for all candidates to have that opportunity. It is one on the doorstep in Bermuda. Smear campaigns, overall ads, I think most people don't. If you can go to someone's doorstep and have that intimate conversation, it's very meaningful for people.
Indeed. Audience, again, I'll get to you. Got a couple more questions here. So let's say the One Bermuda Alliance is successful at the polls, right? And Michael Fahy wins his seat. How do we know that if you get back into government, you won't be on some sort of revenge mission and say, you know what, I'm pushing this through ASAP? Like, how are you going to respond to what happened in 2017? Because there have been people who said, no, we can't trust that this is, like why should Bermudians trust Michael Fahy in government again?
Okay. I was part of a cabinet, and I couldn't just run out and do things on my own. Decisions were made as a cabinet based on the circumstances that we felt that we were in. We were in a disaster zone when we became government and had to make decisions that nobody wants to have to make. Nobody wants to go out and make decisions that eventually lead to a protest. Nobody wants that. You think, well, I've done something wrong. We're not countering some of the poor, the false messaging that's going out. The One Bermuda Alliance has presented a platform about creating opportunity, about helping our seniors, about improving education through stakeholder engagement and those kinds of things. Those are the items that we need to concentrate on. How it works is the civil servants, when you win government, they take that platform and they say, okay, here's the things that you say, what are you going to do? And you have to then put those plans down, and that's when the beginning of starting legislation, consultation, working groups, taking things to cabinet, taking things to your caucus, getting overall engagement in the process. So, I hear all kinds of things. Well, this guy is, behind the curtains. This guy's doing this. I don't know if I should be flattered that people think I've got that kind of power and control over the minds of others. It's crazy. I was in a position where
I had to make controversial decisions. What I will promise people, and I will continue to promise this, is I will do what is in the interests of Bermuda and Bermudians, because that is what we are tasked to do. How can we grow our economy? How can we do these things? And if the stuff that we need to think about, we're going to have to and will increase an opportunity for consultation. Again, remember when we came into government in 2012, we didn't have money in the pockets to pay civil servants. We had to borrow money. Um, I don't. I hope that's not the position. Should we get in and see that again? But rest assured that when you're meeting these wonderful candidates that we have, that I've had an opportunity to spend time with, I think you're going to hear a very different way of thinking. That perhaps people had this perception of the OBA, and I said this as well. That Jamal, that what kind of organization, honestly, would create itself to just represent one small demographic, whether it's racial, economic, sex, anything, and expect to be successful? I don't believe that anyone should be able to do that. The OBA is this broad church. Jerry and Richardson's explained it. You're going to get people from so many different backgrounds that come in that room and hash out what is in the best interest of Bermuda. It's a great space to be in that form of engagement, that you're getting individuals from all over the island that are coming in that room and coming up with solutions for Bermuda. And the OBA has done an amazing job rebuilding from, its loss in 2017 and then again in 2020.
All righty. I'm going to go to the audience. We got quite a lot of questions. If we could be concise with some of the answers, just so we can get through some.
Sure.
Charles,
Yeah.
Second, he's asking, when Mr. Fahy heard the minister say that we need 8,400 more people in Bermuda, was he surprised? Where does he think that number came from?
Wasn't surprised at all. That number has come, I would assume, from the statistical analysis about how many individuals you need to have a successful economy that's paying for the taxes that pay for the budget. We're short people in Bermuda to have a thriving economy and also to help replace our population. You need 2.1 people born to every person essentially to renew your population, and we're not at that point. You can look at the stats from the hospital. Some days you have no one born at all. You might have less than 30 a month. That's not renewing ourselves. That's a global phenomenon. We have to start to wrestle with that and help everyone understand what that means for our economic success and our healthcare system and our taxes and our public servants. How do we pay for that? We need people.
Well, Denise Hollis says, is there any plan to get Bermudians to return home? And Charles H. Jefferson II also says, should the next government focus on trying to attract Bermudians to return? I mean, that would help the population, right?
100%. And what I said to on another interview the other day, one of the biggest problems that we've had, the PLP has recognized it, the PLP has said it. It's not just the OBA doing and saying things because we're trying to scaremonger anyone. Not at all. One of the biggest problems is emigration. We know just from the population census and the information that we can actually get a hold on that we have lost so many Bermudians. We have to make it attractive for them to come back. That is through increasing opportunities through jobs. It's increasing with inward investment. It's increasing and doing better with our education system. And it's trying to lower the cost of living so that when Bermudians do come back, they don't then leave again and say, I can't afford to retire here. I've heard that so many times where Bermudians have said, I'm still working. I'm 75 years old. I don't know when I'm going to stop working because I can't pay to remain. And everybody understands that. And we've got to work with every stakeholder possible to try and lower this cost and bring people back. We have to attract them back. And I think that also means ending some of the dialogue that goes on here. We're at each other's throats and we're saying terrible things about each other. Nobody wants that. People, do believe in Bermuda, and we believe in Bermuda's success. I think that's why people left sometimes too. It's just the level of what it just feels sometimes desperately uncomfortable here with the levels of disrespect that we seem to show each other. We can do so much better, and I really hope that we do.
Yeah, indeed. I just want to go back real quickly about, the diversity and the groups. And I think it's important not to forget the history of why certain groups um, begin. And I think if I remember correctly, it was a labor union, it was the labor movement in terms of the PLP's creation. Now, whether or not
1964 for the PLP. Yeah.
yeah, and whether that still exists with the current leadership, like whether the focus is still the same, I'm not in the circle, so I won't know. But I don't want people to kind of go away with this and how you all like clipping stuff off the show that um we're dismissing that certain groups do come together because they were disenfranchised. So I just don't want that to get lost because whether it's the Black Panthers or some all women's organizations, some of them literally come together because they've been disenfranchised. So I don't want that to be diminished in you saying that the OBA, it's so many different, backgrounds and the like. Well, there can be a group of women who come from completely different backgrounds. I've been in rooms full of Black people who are very different from me. So I want to clarify that because I know.
I think let's make that point really clear, John. I'm in no way, and I've said it when I was in different roles, um, in no way dismissing the history of the PLP and the amazing things that they did do to put pressure on a lot of the things that were wrong back then. We know what went wrong back then. You can look at Bermuda's history, the history that led up to the riots, the history that led to people feeling desperate and were disenfranchised, and how some of those things went that were just desperately wrong. All I'm now saying is that with the OBA, what you have is an organization. When people say, "Oh, this is an organization for the elite," I'm saying to you, that's trash, basically. This is a party that is out to try and help all Bermudians and do our best job for everyone. That's all I'm saying. I'm certainly not dismissing anything from the past because that's that'd be a great conversation now because some of the stuff I dislike when people try and suggest that we don't know our history. Look, I've said it 1,000 times, to be honest with you, is that some of the stuff that went on, how could some people ever forgive? I think I'd be hard pressed to forgive a lot of stuff that people, particularly the Black population of Bermuda, had to deal with and put up with and think that, oh, it's just that people were treated the way they were treated. It's abhorrent, right?
Yeah.
And all I'm saying is now you look at what the OBA is a far cry removed from some of the things that perhaps people felt that what the United Bermuda Party was when that organization first formed. Things were different then compared to what they are now. It doesn't dismiss history. You have to also move forward too and say how can you do things a little differently?
Okay.
Right.
Got a few more questions. We've got Derek Hendrickson says, what is the opinion of the job the OBA has done as the opposition?
Look, I think that after the 2017 election, I think that the opposition could have done a lot better. And I would say the same leading up to 2020 and subsequent. The OBA, we've all had to learn some very difficult lessons, knowing that what we believed we were doing is right and trying to communicate in a better way. Look, some people's communication styles are going to be better than mine. Mine are worse than others. But I think if you can listen to what we're that the message that we're getting across, I think does resonate when they're on the doorstep with individuals face to face. And I think that's very important.
This comment made me smile. Suzanne Ingham says, okay, Mr. Fahy, I'm giving you some grace here, but I'm watching you closely.
Okay.
She's watching.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, Suzanne. Yeah.
A few more questions.
Yeah.
Mari Simon says, do you think the PLP cabinet knew about the AG hiring her husband? Ooh.
I can't comment on that. I don't know. I think let's just make how kind of clear something up as well, just generally, so that people understand how some of that works. Is the ministers do not and should not get involved in the hiring of public servants. Okay, ministers are supposed to set policy. Ministers are supposed to guide policy, and the senior public servants, the permanent secretaries, are the ones through the public service deal with appointments, discipline issues, promotions, all those things. That's not a minister's remit at all. Ministers have the opportunity to hire personal consultants. If that, I think it depends on which government is in. I think each of us maybe would are entitled to hire one if we decided to. It might be two now. I don't know, but you can hire consultants that it is outside necessarily the realm of public service appointments. So I'll leave that there. I don't know enough of the details of that particular
I
hiring.
don't even think a lot of people may not know that ministers are not supposed
Yeah.
to. All right, we've got a few more. We've got Nicole Smith. She's asking, how would you have communicated pathways differently to get the message across in a better way?
Yeah, that's, I had to reflect on that obviously a lot. I think the environment we were in was pretty harsh. We probably should have learned from the well-organized protests that had been put together on any number of other initiatives that we were looking at. As you've seen, when we were trying to communicate, there were individuals who had come in to just disrupt. And I don't to this day really know how I would ever handle that differently again. I mean, it's a bit shocking when you're trying to communicate, trying to get feedback, trying to get consultation, and you're shouted down more than once by groups of individuals who just don't want to hear what you've got to say. But ultimately, there were many other people at the time who believed in what we were trying to achieve. So those that shout the loudest sometimes get heard the most, and that's not necessarily the best way to get things done. I think we would have taken a step back, explained things much longer. Look, we did CITV presentations, we did public meetings, we had meetings with the alphabet groups, we did everything that you can to try and at least get the message across. But if there's that much opposition to it, sometimes you just have to accept that it's not the right time. And there may never be a time for that. But again, that's not something that the OBA is even considering. It's not even on the agenda. It's something that it's not there for us to be discussing at the moment.
Okay.
For us
Gonna
in
read-
this election.
Okay, gonna read a couple of comments, then I'll get to a question. Rashida Godwin says, Mr. Fahy, you really need to learn about the history and disenfranchisement of certain groups of people by previous government immigration policies and have empathy when making such decisions. And then we have Dorian, who says, if the OBA win the next election, my belief is that within 30 days, Mr. Richardson will be kicked to the curb and Mr. Fahy will become the leader. Now, let's just address this right now. Do you have aspirations to be the premier of Bermuda? And what do you say to both of those comments?
No to the last comment. I am running as a member of parliament for constituency 20. In the event that we're successful as government, it's up to the leader of the party, that's Jarian, to make determinations as to who he wishes to invite into cabinet. I would serve as asked. I've also said I've no interest in taking on the immigration portfolio, and I've made that clear in the event that I was even asked to do anything. That's not for me, and I didn't come into this to try and become Premier of Bermuda. That's not, it's just not there. I mean, people are going to have their opinion no matter what I say anyway. In terms of the history, I'm very aware of it. In fact, I guess when people will get to know me, one of the things that I had studied in school was political science and history, and I'm a buff at history and I spoke to so many people. Way back in the day, I was part of CURE, and which was the Commission for Unity and Racial Equality, and I'm well aware of the history. But the history and the way that governments in the past used voting rights to disenfranchise Black people was wrong then, and it's wrong now. No one was trying to do that. And again, I could not in a million years presuppose anybody's way that they wish to vote. There seems to be this weird thought. There is. It's wrong how people think. I believe in that we are all supposed to, if you're Black, you just vote PLP, or if you're white, you're just going to vote the OBA. I don't believe it. I think I wish that we would all listen to what we each have to say and make a judgment based on that. Yes, there's going to be individuals who are always going to vote PLP, and there's always going to be people who always vote OBA. That's the same in any country. You're going to get diehard Republicans that no matter what, say, a candidate like Donald Trump spews out, are still going to say that guy's fantastic. And equally, you're going to get Democrats who would sit there and go, Joe Biden, who we saw the issues he had, are still going to vote Democrat no matter what. But what you've got to, I think, what political engagement is really talking about the arguments. Saying, okay, I think I can accept that, but I would never presuppose someone's vote. You know, someone said I'm going into a safe seat. I've not presupposed everything. I've been knocking on doors since I was announced. I've gone into some very wealthy neighborhoods, and I've gone into some very underprivileged neighborhoods, all within a stone's throw of each other. And you hear that some of the same things about the cost of living and some of those things. But do I go and immediately assume that that person is going to vote for me? I ask them, can you support me? Can I have your vote? I presuppose nothing, and I think it's wrong to do that.
Indeed. One last question from the audience. We've got Charles H. Jefferson II. He says, what are Mr. Fay's thoughts on a coalition government? What does he think are the chances of that happening? Does he agree that many would like to see that?
Um, you know, coalitions are not heard of really in Bermuda. I mean, I don't think, and I don't believe there's ever been a coalition government in Bermuda. In fact, we know there hasn't. It's not uncommon in many jurisdictions. It's not uncommon in Europe, for example. It absolutely is something that happens all the time. Yes, it's a different type of voting system. It's all proportional. But we've seen in the UK, we've seen a coalition government. Back in the day we had, it was the Conservatives and Liberal Democrats. In Canada, at the moment, is a coalition with the Liberals and the NDP. So it can be done. If there's no way to, if neither of the main parties, the OBA and PLP, or for that matter, the FDM has run candidates before. They don't have 36 candidates, but if in the event that no party was able to form a government, it would make absolute sense for any organization to have discussions with other individuals to try and form a government for the stability of the island. In the event that you can't, then you have to have another election. I don't think anybody really wants that. As we said, we're tired now. Jamal, you're going to get your spa session this week, probably, as you said. I'll wait till after the 18th. But you see, the point is nobody wants to go through all of this again, particularly the voter, and hearing some of the rhetoric and all of these things. So short answer to Charles is, look, I wouldn't rule it out, but again, that's for the leaders of the parties to make those decisions. That would be for the leader of the party, Jaren, our deputy leader, Ben Smith, and have discussions with whomever they think would be necessary in order to form a government. And look, let's face it, I think the PLP would try and do the same. If they didn't get what they thought was required to form a good majority, they too would try and enter in discussions. That's not a bad thing.
I guess, I mean, and again, thank you for this conversation. I think there's a trust problem among the electorate, and I think that's why we have 109 people seeking office. I think people are exhausted. I think they're exhausted with party politics. I think politics, period. There's a lot of trust that needs to be built. And saying that, and we have to let you go. But what are your final words to not just those in constituency 20, but other words? If this was your last opportunity to communicate with the electorate on a whole, what would you say to them to shape their perspective? This is not about, one thing I like about this show, you can engage directly with the audience. They're not reading something you said that's been quoted, or they're not getting a clip of what you said on the news. You can speak to them directly. Let them know why they can trust Michael Fahy 2025 more than they did Michael Fahy 2017.
Yeah, thanks, Jamal. Thanks for having me on, and thanks to the audience. We'll get the communication microphones better next time. You have to judge a person when you have that opportunity to speak them. I saw a sign. It was in fact, my wife brought it to my attention. It said, "Judge correctly." And what do I mean by that? Engage in those conversations and say, okay, I'm going to look this man in the eyes and shake his hand and say, okay, let's have a discussion. What you will get from me is someone who is upfront. And I will say to you, yes, I agree. No, I don't agree. But if we don't agree, we can disagree respectfully and we can go our separate ways, or we can come together and work together. And I think that's the ethos of the One Bermuda Alliance. We're building and our party, and we're creating we're going to have a create opportunity for Bermudians, and ask for your vote and give us that chance to demonstrate that we can do what we say we're going to do. And I look forward to the conversations with people as I walk through Hamilton, or as I'm in the constituency, or I'm at the grocery store. Have a conversation. My email's on the website. Send me an email. If I don't get back to you, it's not because I'm arrogant or whatever. Sometimes I don't have all the time, but eventually I'll get to you. But I'd love to hear from people, and let's have a discussion. I think that's important.
Indeed.
Thank you. Yeah.
Mr. Fahy, honestly, thank you for making time, for engaging. I don't know what will happen in the election, but all I hope, and I say this with the most respect, I just hope that Bermudians get better than what they have today. And that's my hope with every election cycle. So all the best to you.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. We'll chat soon.
Thanks, Jamal. Appreciate it.
Michael Fahy, folks, if you appreciated today's conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you share the conversation with your friends, your family, your colleagues. Again, whatever platform you're on, like, love, follow, share, subscribe, join. I'm going to do a giveaway. You all are 300 deep today. We're going to give you a giveaway when we come back. Give us 2 minutes, 10 seconds. We're going to come back, wrap it up. In the meantime, show us some love. Stick with us.
All right, here we go.
Looking for the best care for your pets? Melbazark Feed and Supply has everything you need, from top quality foods to toys and supplies. We've got it all. Join our frequent buyer program and earn rewards every time you shop. Plus, we've been awarded the Clever Customer Initiative program for helping you save more. And don't forget, we open an hour early on Saturdays so you can get a head start on your pet care. Visit us today or shop online for easy pickup or delivery. Your pets will thank you.
Right. Who was the first woman to become not just the first female opposition leader in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Hey, buddy. Hun, who was the first woman to serve as opposition leader, not just in Bermuda, but throughout the entire British Commonwealth?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Mason, what did you say?
Dame Lewis Brown Evans.
Dame Lois Brown Evans? Where do you find that?
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia.
Mommy playing Bermuda Trivia. Oh, honey. I'm so proud of you. Good job.
It's true. Children are a reflection of their environment. Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Fun with a purpose. To educate, to entertain, to inform, to inspire, to learn, and to enjoy. Bermuda Trivia. All volumes now available at various stores throughout Bermuda. Visit bermudatrivia.com to learn more and follow Bermuda Trivia on your favorite social media platforms.
All right, welcome back to the big show. Thanks again to Michael Fahy from the One Bermuda Alliance for stopping by for that conversation. Again, audience, if you appreciated the opportunity to engage with Mr. Fahy, please give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Make sure you repost, retweet, reshare, whatever. Thanks again to the excuse me. Thanks again to the BAC group of companies, Medical House Lenders, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we can do this with you on a daily basis. It's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Bermuda Trivia, now available at stores throughout Bermuda. Follow Bermuda Trivia on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok to find out why it's Bermuda's favorite trivia game. Audience, it's a things you should know. Here's the question. Who was the first leader of the One Bermuda Alliance? No one got it, huh? Oh, of course Charles got it. John Barrett was the first leader. You all didn't watch the show the other day? Mark Arthur C. Phillips and Rashida, two of my favorite people. You didn't watch the show the other day? John Barrett was the first leader. He was the interim leader of the One Bermuda Alliance when they first formed. And then the election was held between Craig Kennenair and Bob Richards. So no, Craig Kennenair was not the first leader. He was the first elected within the party. But Mr. Barrett was appointed. Yes, hashtag the Daily Hour. Hashtag the Daily Hour. I want to wrap it up. All right, the question this morning. We asked what you enjoy most about election season. Quite comical, but one of the things I do appreciate is people seem a bit more engaged in what's happening in the country. And I stress this, and I know we all have lives to live and things beyond politics, because politics is stressful. But I just want to encourage people to stay engaged. Stay engaged beyond the election. You must. The vote is only as powerful as the actions that follow it. We've got to do better as an electorate, as a society, as a community, as people, as Bermudians. We're better than that. As far as what you prefer, look, if you prefer town halls, go to the town halls. If you prefer people coming on your doorstep, hold them accountable. Ensure they come. And hear your concerns. Remember, don't allow them to come to you and tell you what they've done for you. You're there to tell them what you'd like them to do to improve the country for your well-being. As far as the conversation with Michael Fahy, look, you all know me. I'm an equal opportunity offender. I'm just not down with politicians. I take the politics of it. I think we have some wonderful people. Yeah, I do think that Michael Fahy and Colonel Birch are very similar. And I'm not saying that to be derogatory, rude, or critical of them, but they're very serious people who are just about that work. Colonel Birch doesn't come across like he's interested in making friends with anybody. You know, I had my issues with Colonel Birch regarding conscription, but I will never, ever say that he was not a hardworking person while a minister. I mean, he works. And I think the difference, and this is my personal opinion, the difference is, I think, the way that people see Colonel Birch and the way people view Michael Fahy is very different for a couple of reasons. Which side they're on, race plays a role, right? The things that they're in charge of, whether it's works and engineering versus or public works versus immigration. But I think personalities are very similar. My issue with Michael Fahy or those in the One Bermuda Alliance is really how they relate and engage the everyday person. The sincerity that we see needs to be expressed regularly, not just when there's an election. Don't neglect the people you need to do the job that you want. All right, let's see who's going to be successful. Let's do this giveaway. All right, folks, here we go. Oh, I got to push it, don't I? Oops, hold up. All right, here we go. Who's it going to be? Who's it going to be? NTS, good stuff. NTS, we'll get you something, brother. We will get you something. Again, folks, if you've just tuned in or before you head out, whatever platform you're on, just give us a like, love, follow, share, whatever platform you're on. Make sure your family, friends have access to these community conversations. This is Bermuda's only regular, daily talk show. There's no music. We are strictly conversations, community conversations, engaging community conversations. We're not a podcast. We are live. There is a difference. All right. Well, folks, don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on. Oh, I have to give you the daily inspiration first, don't I? I was just going to leave you all hanging. Here's your daily inspiration. Quote, chance has never yet satisfied the hope of a suffering people, end quote. And that's Marcus Garvey. Deep, short and deep. Don't forget to subscribe on our website. Follow us on all of our social media channels to stay up to date with all that we have going on. Help us grow beyond the mic as we do our part to continue to improve our community. Thanks again to our partners, the BAC Group of Companies, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you on Monday. I'm Jamel Hartman. Please do make it a safe and a great weekend. We are out. Peace.